Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into a really fun part of our source material.
Yeah, this is section 4, the one called You're the Top, Puns and Parodies.
Exactly. And it really gets into Cole Porter's incredible wit. You know, his wordplay, the way he used parody, especially in the 1930s.
It's all about that era. Our source shows how he wasn't just clever, but how he used that cleverness almost strategically.
Okay, let's unpack that because it's more than just funny lyrics, right? The source talks about mixing high and low culture.
Right, and using innuendo to kind of poke at social norms, all while dealing with the restrictions of the time.
Yeah. So for you listening, we know you like those aha moments,
Yeah.
but maybe not getting swamped in academic stuff.
Definitely. We'll pull out some, I think, really surprising bits and see how they fit into the bigger picture of the 30s. You don't need a musicology degree for this one.
Just an ear for smart wordplay. So where better to start than with the list song?
Yes. And the prime example has to be You're the Cop.
From Anything Goes, 1934. Such an iconic song.
It really is. And it's a masterclass in that list technique. The structure seems simple, right? You're the top then.
I'm the bottom. But the things he lists.
That's the genius of it.
Our source points out this amazing range. You've got, like, the Ritz Hot Toddy. Okay, classy. Next to a Brewster body.
Which is a fascinating reference in itself, probably to expensive custom car bodies.
And then you get Nathan Panning, George, and Nathan, the critic, presumably,
Almost certainly. Known for being harsh.
and Bishop Manning, clergyman.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, broccoli.
Yes. And that's the key, isn't it? That deliberate mix. High culture, low culture, the fancy, the everyday.
Like Inferno's Dante sharing a line with the great Durante.
Jimmy Durante, yeah. It's funny, but it also reflects the times, you know. The Depression blurred lines, popular culture was booming alongside hardship. Porter captures that.
It keeps you guessing. You
Yeah.
never quite know what kind of comparison is coming next.
Uh-huh. And our source also mentions something important, that the song was rewritten. Several times, in fact.
Oh, interesting. Why is that significant?
Well, it shows just how popular it was, but also how adaptable. You could slot in different topical references, tailor it. That helped make it such a lasting hit.
Okay, so from those big lists to something maybe a bit more subtle.
Yes, let's talk puns and double meanings. Porter was exceptionally good at this.
Implying things without spelling them out.
Exactly. The source uses a fantastic example from The Physician. That's from Nymph Errant, 1933.
Right, I remember reading this bit. The lyrics are something like,
He said, my bronchial tubes were entrancing, my epiglottis filled him with glee, he simply loved my larynx and went wild about my pharynx.
but he never said he loved me.
There you go. On the surface, it's clinical, almost absurdly so.
Yeah, like a doctor just really appreciates her internal plumbing.
But the implication, the thing left unsaid, is what makes it work. He's implying a different kind of interest, isn't he? A romantic one that the doctor just
Yeah,
ignores.
or avoids mentioning. The humor comes from that gap, his fascination with her parts, but zero interest in her.
Precisely. It plays with your expectations, layers of meaning.
And the source connects this, maybe just gently, to the social climate, the restrictions. Shep mentions the Hays Code, even though that's covered later.
It does foreshadow it, yeah. While this part of the source isn't about the code specifically, you have to remember that pressure for censorship was building.
These double meanings were a way around that.
Kind of. It allowed him to be suggestive, maybe a bit risque, without being explicit. He let the audience do the work, you know, a masterful implication.
Okay, moving on. Parody. Not just for laughs, but also commentary.
Definitely. Porter was brilliant at weaving in topical stuff, references to real people and events. Our source highlights some great ones from Anything Goes.
Like the Mrs. Ned McLean line.
Yes. When Mrs. Ned McLean, God bless her, can get Russian Reds to yes, sir, then I suppose anything goes.
And for you listening, Evelyn Walsh McLean, she was this incredibly wealthy socialite, owned the Hope Diamond.
Right. So the idea of her, with all her capitalist baggage, charming the Soviets, it's absurd. And that's the joke. It would have gotten a big laugh.
So what do these jokes about her or Sam Goldwyn tell us? Beyond just being funny.
Well, they often gently mocked the preoccupations of the rich and famous. McLean and the Soviets touches on wealth versus ideology.
And then there's the Rockefeller and Max Gordon line.
When Rockefeller still can hoard enough money to let Max Gordon produce his shows, anything goes. Speaks volumes about who held the purse strings, even in showbiz.
And the Hollywood jab. If Sam Goldwyn can with great conviction instruct Anna Sten in diction, then Anna shows anything goes.
Yeah, the source reminds us Goldwyn was pushing Anna Sten, this Ukrainian actress, hard. Her accent was apparently noticeable.
So, a little dig at manufactured stardom?
Probably. These references made the songs feel incredibly current, really connected with the audience who knew all these characters from the papers.
It adds that extra layer of wit.
And it contrasts interestingly with someone like Irving Berlin, as the source points out, especially with war songs.
How so?
Well, Berlin often wrote quite earnest, patriotic songs, boosting morale. Porter, even on serious topics, tended to be more detached, satirical maybe?
Like his war song parodying Jerome Kern?
Exactly. A much more wry, almost cynical take on the whole thing.
Okay, another list song example the source brings up is Can Can. Different angle this time.
Yeah, geographical. Instead of random objects, it lists places and people who can, supposedly, do the can.
Right. If a lady in Iran can, if a shady African can, if a Jap with the slap of her fan can.
It's like a whirlwind tour through stereotypes, maybe, but presented playfully.
The source calls it inclusive, which is interesting. Like it's democratizing this slightly scandalous dance.
It definitely has that feel. And the rhythm, the wordplay, it just bounces along, shows he could take that list structure in new directions.
It's good the source contrasts these witty, complex songs with his simpler stuff, too.
Like, what is this thing called love, which we've talked about before?
Yeah, it reminds you he wasn't just about the clever wordplay.
Absolutely. He had that range. He could do the intricate puzzle box lyrics, but also the straightforward emotional ballad, both exploring love just differently.
And speaking of structures and influences,
Yeah.
the source connects Porter back to Gilbert and Sullivan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a really important influence. Porter loved their work.
Specifically the patter songs, the lists.
Yeah, that pretty much. His mastery of innuendo was, you could argue, a tool for navigating the taboos and the growing pressure for clean entertainment. We'll probably see more on that later in the source.
Okay, so wrapping up this look, section 4. Wow. Cole Porter, a master of juggling words.
Absolutely. Puns, parody, lists, using it all not just to be funny, but to comment subtly on his world.
We definitely had those aha moments,
Yeah.
the sheer variety and you're the top,
Yeah.
the clinical wit of the physician, the topical digs in anything goes.
Yeah, great examples of his style.
And for you listening, it just shows how Porter could be incredibly entertaining, but also really insightful about the 1930s. A unique voice.
Mm-hmm. Which maybe leaves us with a thought. How do songwriters do this today?
Right. Do we see the same kind of techniques?
Mm-hmm.
Witty wordplay, innuendo, list songs, commenting on our times.
What are the modern equivalents? It makes you think about how these lyrical traditions carry on, doesn't it? Something to ponder.